Welcome to the Hour of Truth. The Minister, Honorable Demeatrus Sr. will be bringing you the message today. Our message today is very powerful and heartfelt on addictions of synthetic drugs, and how it has become an American way of life. This message is for the broken and afflicted homes globally. While living in a world of mystification that has stripped us of our voices, human being has become test dummies of street and high-tech drugs on the market. Our children are suffering great losses as a result of our foolishness, selfishness, and our extended stay from home while being in long-term and short-term programs, just to name a few. Our children are raising themselves as young as 5 years old. Could this be how we lost control of them in our lives? How the drugs become our God and our salvation above all? How we surrendered all power unto the drugs to become the head of our lives and homes? Did the children have a voice on how to live or promote their talents? How many lives do we have to lose before we stop relying on 40% of the world consumption of drugs, production, and distribution? When are we going to take control of our children and rebuild our family structures, which has been torn down by greed, deception, and deceit? How can we restore decades of self-destruction of the family system? What can we do to help the children take control of their own future that we have worked so hard to destroy? People, wake up. The children are not asked to come into this world of sinful nature. Someone made a choice to give them love and support. Have we forgotten our family and moral values of our forefathers and mothers? The children are crying out for our help by all means necessary. The children have become irresponsible and careless because they emulate us. Our children represent us every day they leave our homes. It's the parents and guardian's job to raise the child in the way they should grow. The illegal substances we abuse pollute our body in every way. When are we going to stop being selfish and reckless with our lives and take our children back from the system? Can we make good judgments at the voting poll while under the influence? When was the last time you asked your children about their future? Who would be the best candidate to vote for, or why? And why? When was the last time you helped them with their homework? When are we going to admit that we are addicted and are powerless over our addiction? How can we explain to our children that we sold their future away because of bad choices in life? When are we going to break the chains and shackles and gain our children from the system? How much longer do the children have to be deceived physically, mentally, and spiritually, and socially? Have you ever encouraged your child or children to live by their own perception of life? When was the last time you said, "I love you"? Pharmaceutical and legal drugs, synthetic drugs, such as cocaine, heroin, methamphetamine, distorts your mind, rendering all power to the drug. Tobacco and alcohol are the two most deadly and that affects the family system in every way. If you are in a drug program, I commend you for your courageousness. If you never use drugs or you do not have children, you have a moral obligation to society and yourself to be stewardess of the children. We must stop shifting the blame on one another because of bad choices. We are on a reckless course to go down in history as being one of the unwise nations in history. If our goal is to set higher standards, we must first start with the mind to work our way up to a higher level of understanding. Could this explain the disparity in learning throughout the educational system, which is riddled with high dropout rates of students suffer from exposure to drugs that have robbed them of their future? A majority of children were born with a learning disability due to their parents' addiction and other social issues that render them from excelling in life. We must address the drugs and alcohol problems in the home and the current school system. It's not their fault that they are at a loss. The drug dealers in society owe them a helping hand in the direction of their future to succeed or fail. This message is especially for those that are in their addiction and struggling to regain their lives. The powerful word called zero tolerance first came into a political arena in 1986 by the Reagan administration to get tough on crime. Well, folks, it sounds as if you are a firm believer that public safety is the #1 priority over the welfare of the children. Since the enactment of the so-called zero tolerance bill, the direction of America has been drifting back to the early 1950s and 1960s. This was a time when the country was fighting to maintain its identity of the past. American citizens were trying to establish order and peace through protests and marches on Washington, D.C. for civil rights. Today, we have zero tolerance painted as a camouflage of promoting peace and control. It's a way to control the American voice by using the Constitution to support the unfair practice and treatment by the government. Zero tolerance has stolen our civil liberties from us. It sounds like the perfect answer to the problem until we open the full package. The mandatory sentence law of 1987 opened the door for people to snitch on their neighbors and family members or anyone they hated. This was the worst bill in history because it clearly and blatantly erased the civil rights movement. Our American voices have been silenced in the courthouse throughout America. Our voices have become silent through the media and the newspaper outlets that has become partisan. Who gave the government the right to spy on American citizens in the confines of their homes? Are we considered American terrorists if we speak out against the unfair treatment by our government? Do I need zero tolerance to restore structure to my self-destructive lifestyle, or is it about choices? Folks, what kind of self-rule government would try to apply the core of America's existence of being for the people, by the people, with a two-party system to govern countless of cultures from all walks of life? What gives us the right to force our way of life on them? It took 40 years to achieve equality. There is zero tolerance in the school systems. How can we teach our children zero tolerance if they do not have it at home? Zero tolerance means one thing to some and nothing to others that prosecute by the law. Did anyone ask the children what they thought about the law and how it would affect them today and tomorrow? We are weeding out bad seeds from good seeds. Are we looking for able, obedient seeds and turning Cain seeds into common criminals? Why? Did anyone show you love and compassion as a child? Why are laws being crafted as a result of our sacrifice of our children to relieve the painful memories of abuse and the neglect? On behalf of the African American people, we apologize for not including the underprivileged majority in the affirmative action and civil rights movement. We want everyone to be included in an equal opportunity for education and workforce, regardless of color, race, disability, religious beliefs. So on behalf of the African Americans and other minorities, we want to offer you an official apology. Folks, we still have time to regain our government back for the people and by the people. Could this be why the Kennedys lost their bid for democracy? Folks, let's regain our children back and help them rebuild their future. The baby boomers have built up wealth for themselves and nothing for the generations after them. How much tangible wealth or federal debt did they leave their children? How difficult is it for foreigners to learn the English language? The American government of the past was created from criminal minds that were given a second chance in life through slavery and theft. The abolitionists of the past fought for civil and moral rights of women, slaves, and common good of humanity. Why does the American government love repeating history? Has the government run its course for new ideas? How long are we going to continue to use our children for free labor? What human being would silence a child's voice to grow and develop their talents and gifts? Overturn the 1986 crime bill, better known as the Mandatory Sentencing Guideline of 1987, in a quest to restore our dignity and freedom of a government for the people, for the government over the people. Democracy was created for the people, by the people, and the republic is designed for aristocratic society, an unlimited power of the government, which swore to uphold the republic point of view. The 18th Amendment has caused drastic hardships on America's way of life. Our lives are no fault of our own. Let's give the fathers, founding fathers of the past, for making our lives a living hell. The repeal of the 18th Amendment, or the Volstead Act of 1920, by the 21st Amendment gave many companies amnesty from the damages caused by their products. Let's thank our local and regional politicians and their families and friends. The wealth of investors has certainly increased, along with jobs and crime and the judicial system and the local prison system. We must also thank the pharmaceutical companies and the alcohol producers for having an amnesty from the law after a fatal death as a result of negligence of the consumer or their own company. The amendment did not repeal all of the 18th Amendment, just proportions of it. The Commerce Clause is what defines a thin line between federal and state laws. The states have began using the laws to get around the 14th Amendment. This repeal of the 18th Amendment caused a living hell with families. There has been a constant struggle for balance in our lives. People have been losing at the expense of the lawmakers on all levels in the judicial system. When do we stop building the future on blood, sweat, and tears of American citizens? There got to be another way to achieve revenue to sustain the government. What decent human being will use another human being as a pawn to create a wealthy system out of control? Has money become the dividing line between right and wrong? How much control do ordinary citizens have after the double standards being practiced? Isn't hope something that is the 21st Amendment and something that isn't the 18th Amendment? Was this a dream that brought order to the country's belief? Have we become a country that embrace equality, camouflage as equality? How can our government hold its people responsible for its horrible creation of evil? The local and state governments operate illegal DUIs and raids on establishments. The state and federal government use double standards to create the drug and enforcement agencies. Is there a war on drugs? Why are there 7% of drug users in the prison systems today? What are the actual numbers of drug dealers we have apprehended after the enactment of the crime bill of 1986? How much work can you compare? How much work do you do compared to 85% of the informers that make up the judicial system conviction rate? How many informers commit or repeat multiple offenses without punishment? What is the current salary for informants? The crime bill of 1986, or zero tolerance, has tripled the conviction rate based on snitches' testimonies. The mandatory sentence guidelines and the three strikes legislation of 1996. How many poster children must die to keep us from lining our pockets? Do you know and understand your rights on all four levels of the government? When will the politicians vote on term limits? Has the government become for sale to the highest bidder? How many terms is needed to reap the benefits of the office? Has the party unity become more important than the constituents of the district in which they serve? What role do they have in the revisit of the Senate Bill number 39 and 40, which came up for a vote in 1992 and 2003? Could this explain the rising cost of energy? This message is brought to you out of concern for America and the U.S. Constitution and the state constitution and the U.S. Bureau of Prison Statistics. Not alone the local government of your area, and a warm welcome for the Freedom of Information Act. I hope this is still free. If not, then we are in deep trouble. May your conscience forever guide your understanding of the world around you. We live in a democracy that is run by the people and not by the government. This is an American style of free enterprise for the people and by the people, with less government intervention of his or her personal lives. The times have changed where the government has given itself dictatorship and immunity from any wrongdoing. The poor are getting poor, and the rich are getting richer. The workforce of America has become a dog-eat-dog environment for social injustice, of not playing by the rules and eliminating pension funds and 401k plans. Do you really think your money is safe at this moment? The judicial system has become corrupt without checks and balances on a level playing field. They render justice from different law books according to your race and your religion. They are tearing down families at the expense of the poor, homeless, minorities, with a take it or leave it attitude. Wake up, America. Where are your so-called leaders for social injustice? As America steered the world into another world war in the Middle East against our fellow brothers and sisters of the same God we worship today. The United States and their allies have evil intentions towards the Arab world in their quest for peace and order over 2 lives. We are insane. It takes a fool with cause to promote self-wealth without purpose for American and civilian lives, for power in order to rule over billions. Stand up, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Reverend Al Sharpton, and Minister Louis Farrakhan. Where are you? Waiting on the democracy to toss dirt, or when the dust settles, is that when you come out? Fight for the poor people around you who are suffering from violence and humiliation of being a part of religion. Stand up for the people that made you famous, or be a coward. What kind of country promotes a free world who spies on its own citizens with surveillance cameras in public and private places? Under 1 through the 14th Amendment. How long will America be America? How long will we let a president that steals elections at the poll, but put the country at risk of being attacked by terrorists on our own homeland? America, if I steal an election from the voters and it is unknown by the general public, does that make me a bona fide public official? Can the people I appoint make critical decisions and pass laws to help or hinder the American way of life? Are these people bonded by the Constitution, or does it not apply to them because they are not legally like the immigrants from the neighboring countries? How many of them vote in the past 2 elections illegally? Are we in the habit of giving amnesty to immigrants for helping politicians steal our jobs and our future for our children? If people use deception and deceit at the polls, what else are they stealing? Our money, our freedom, health, and our government. Is this our way of life? Is this the reason why white and blue-collar workers say that the law do not apply to them? Is the current administration legally in power and authority and have authority by the people, or a rigged up Supreme Court in favor of the current administration? How many Democrats and Republicans run around in wolf clothing, preying on sheep, stealing his or her election, and now trying to cover their tracks? They have sold our civil liberties behind closed doors like hungry wolves. That they are crafting social injustice and disparity to fool the American public with hand-pointing, hiring heavy guns to stay in control, to start the process of promise made and promise kept, which keep you down and out? Do we sell our souls to the highest bidder at the polls? Or do foreign countries hold our way of life with the outsourcing of jobs and businesses? What foreign country in South America is controlling our voters' machines and is helping to steal our rights of freedom? Come on, America. Are you smart? Go figure it out. We need checks and balances between one party system, looking like they are separate from one another. They set the agenda for one or the next predecessor. Large corporations and unions hold decision-making ability in a pathetic arena or trading our future like the New York stock market. The religious churches or the churches of America has become corrupt and being run like businesses that turn their backs on their communities to get out the vote in opposition to the opponents of the same political system. What role does God have in saving his creation from greed and selfishness of the human race? The government gives billions of dollars to non-profit organizations each and every year to promote standards, rules, guidelines, and bias mandates anti-women and pro-men as inheritance of the earth with a half of a brain to speak for the said community. This causes people to be confused about their role in society, like we are responsible for our own fate. Tell that to the mentally challenged, the blind, the deaf, the limbless, or the completely disabled person. Are they in charge of their actions or society? Do we kill them like barbaric people? Or level the playing field? America, we need a brand new political system that works for the people and keeps it promises and not practice what the forefathers and mothers did. Are we still living in the Old Testament or the so-called New? Are we different than our parents or the same because we never change, just like the days, the hours, the minute, the months, and the years? Have we grown out of new ideas to promote peace without bloodshed? Are we living by a tie of faith in the New Testament or by blood ties in the Old Testament? Tell me, where are we? Because it is certainly not the New Testament. Are we really ready for women to govern America? If Condoleezza Rice is the best we can do, we are in trouble. She cannot accept rejection from males and alike. Then what can Hillary do better to keep us out of harm's way? Promote domestic policies over foreign policies? Or support the Jews' blood ties of white America because the black America do not support war against our sisters and brothers in the foreign country abroad? As American politicians become distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that American citizens are voting for names without faces on them, like the movie's Distinguished Gentleman played by Eddie Murphy. Has name recognition without researching the candidate position and stand for justice for one and justice for all in the quest to sustain America's civil liberties. Have the current administration strong-armed the media to support a war of his or her liking and not the blessing of America? Blood, sweat, and tears. I say recall every one of the current democracy or Democrat and Republicans with fresh and replace them with fresh and real ideas for the 21st century before it is too late America, one of the same. What country would hold freedom fighters of Islam or Muslim faith and at the same time allow American-born Jews to return to their said homeland to fight against Arab world? Can a black America return to his or her homeland to fight for their motherland and return home once the war is over? Is this a judgment call, or do America have to arm themselves against the racist attitude of the government of the United States of America, who asked us our stand on the war in the Gulf and the Middle East? Why do the news media report from only one side or partisan side of the field to make it look like the Lebanese fired the first shot at Israel? So America, it's not about race anymore. It's your face. It's in your face and personal now. With the world against the Jews and not the world against the Jews like the first 2,000 years. Is this a freestyle enterprise of democracy? Extorting individualism, consumerism over families first. Is that the American way of life? If not, it's different. Does it make a difference at the poll on election day? Send them a clear message that you are on or you are aware of them. And vote yes. Mean yes without excuses. Use your right to vote and record numbers against the Democrat and Republicans. And vote independent, the way you came into the world, and the same way you should surely go out. Write in a candidate, serve with good purpose. If you do not like your choice on the ballot, what is a buffer zone? Is that what is in the United States surrounding the borders? A buffer zone? Take your country back from the corporation, the lobbyists, and the government, and the powerful nation and unions. May God bless you and keep you. So tell the truth, so help you God. I want to thank you for tuning in to The Hour of Truth. And this ministry is a combination of advocacy. We do political, we are economic, we're social, and we're domestic. I try to touch on topics that are heartfelt, and these are topics that most churches or ministry do not touch on out of fear of losing their status or their 501c. So if this message has helped you in any type of way, please, if you have any questions, you may reach me at info@thehourtruth.ws. And I appreciate your comments and suggestions. And I also appreciate your love and your support. May God keep you, may He bless you, and may your day be filled with joy and happiness. And take care until next time.